Welcome to the very first episode of Stack and Scale. I'm Brandon Rundlinger, and I'm sitting down with the best marketers who are actually shipping results with AI. And they're pulling back the curtain and showing you what they're building, and more importantly, how they're building it. And episode 1 is just a banger. I sat down with Sanchez. His friends call him Danchez. And we go a little bit meta here. He actually shows us the custom GPT that he built to help him produce his podcast in just a fraction amount of the time. And this GPT gives him the angle and the title and the thumbnail image that he uses and everything on the pre-production side of the podcast. And he has a whole separate workflow on the post-production side, and we'll do another episode on that. But if you don't know Danchez, he's just one of the smartest guys and one of the most voracious learners out there. And I've actually learned a lot about AI for marketing from Danchez himself. So with that said, let's dive into this episode. Danchez, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so talk to me. Tell me what you're going to build for us today.
Today, we're going to build a custom GPT or use a custom GPT, and I'll show you how to build it that does all the pre-production for my podcast/YouTube channel. It's something that I built maybe a year and a half ago, and it's still my favorite AI tool that I ever created. I use it multiple times a week. It saves me a ton of time, and it's led to a lot of my success actually as an AI marketer because of the success of my podcast. It's helped me stay consistent with the show because we know that's the game, right? If you could just be consistent in just one channel for once, right? Anything you can do to keep a channel like a podcast consistent and make it not suck and make it smooth is gold for marketers, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for your employer. To be able to shave time off and not only make it faster, but make it better is the whole like aspiration of AI. And this custom GPT I'm going to share with your audience today is my favorite one, and I'm excited to share it.
Heck yeah, I'm excited. So, I mean, I started a podcast back in 2015. If I had this sort of thing back then, man, like we would have just taken off. Back before like AI was even a thing and before podcasting B2B was cool, you know?
It used to be hard, man. I remember I worked for an agency and it took a team of 4 people 2 weeks to turn an episode. Now with AI, like not only is the pre-production really fast, I could do it on my phone, like on my way, like if I'm in the passenger seat of a car, I could do it like on my way within 10 minutes, like driving somewhere. But now even the post-production, I can get a podcast out in less than 60 minutes or so. It's just done. Boom.
That's
with
amazing.
all the assets, the full thing published.
Well, we'll have to dive into that one too. I'll have to have you back on. We'll dive into that one. But yeah, if you want to share your screen, let's dive right in.
Let's go. All right, so I'm in ChatGPT here, and I'm in a Plus account. You don't necessarily need a Plus account to do this, and I'll show you how to do it without a Plus account, but it's way better if you have a Plus account. If you're not paying for ChatGPT yet, then it's like you're a beginner in AI. That's okay. There's a lot of you out there, but I promise there's way more when you start paying for this thing.
It's so worth it.
And it's well worth it. But I'm in a custom GPT, and first we're just going to demonstrate what this thing does, and then I'll show you under the hood how it works. I think you'll be surprised how simple it actually is. So this is what I call my AI-driven marketer's acronym, episode packaging, or essentially pre-production. It's going to help me prep for a show. In fact, I have a show I want to do maybe next week sometime about AI marketing books. And the way this works is really simple. I essentially, and this is how I usually use AI a lot, I dictate everything now. I just let AI clean it up on the back end because that's like cheating, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and tell this, I'm going to kick off this GPT just by explaining the initial idea of the episode, and it's going to help me craft the whole thing. So let's go ahead and jump in. Hi, ChatGPT. I want to do a episode about the best 3 books marketers can read right now in order to learn more about AI. I've actually read over a dozen books on AI and AI in business specifically, and most of them are complete garbage. These are the 3 that you want to read if people want to actually get ahead with understanding AI in their career. So that's the general idea. Now it's going to take a second to transcribe it, and bam, that's why I like doing it. It's just faster. Maybe you're a fast typer. I'm not.
No, this is how I do it too. Yep.
So this is programmed essentially, or instructed to do very simple things. First, it takes my idea, it knows the premise of my show already, it knows who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish. It has my show Bible, or at least like everything that I that it needs to know about my show. And it takes the idea and just kind of hones it in. It doesn't start coming up with titles right away or outlining nothing yet. It's like trying to hone it in for me. Like, what's the angle? What's going to make the audience interested in listening to this? So it gave me 5 angles for top 3 AI books for marketers. So we have these AI books are actually good, 3 AI books that will save your career. I read 12 AI books, so you don't have to. Really interesting. I mean, these could also be titles. The ultimate AI reading list for ambitious marketer. If you're a marketer, these 3 AI books will change everything. Actually, kind of like 5. So I'm going to go with that.
Nice.
And now,
So it,
based
it just
on,
came up with a bunch
yeah,
of angles, and then you
it came
said
up with
go
the
with number
angles.
5.
And I'm going to go with angle 5. Now it's going to come
Good.
up with the titles. And you can see all I have to do is nudge it. I just said 5, right?
Yeah.
It's how simple is that? Now, sometimes the angles, I'm like, actually, now that you say it, I did have an angle in mind, and I'll tell it the angle. And the cool thing about this is it's fuzzy, man. It's AI. It can roll with it. You could throw something, you could throw a stick in it, and it's not gonna like fall over it, right? So I can say like,
Yeah.
hey, actually, let's go with this angle, or like we're gonna do something different with this episode, and it'll be able to go. But it's moving on to the next step, which is coming up with titles. So we say we have 3 AI books that will transform your marketing forever. If you're a marketer, read these 3 books, AI books immediately. These 3 AI books changed how I market forever. Stop reading bad AI books. The 3 best AI books for serious marketers. That one's pretty good. Every marketer should read these 3 AI books. Don't learn AI the hard way. Read these 3 books first. Make you a smarter marketer. I've read 12 AI books. I kind of like this one. It kind of has like proof in the line. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna say 9. From here, we're actually to go through and start coming up with captions for the thumbnail. Okay. Because
Mm.
I have a video podcast. YouTube is where it's at. It's where a third of my audience consumes the show. I also repackage this whole thumbnail for the podcast if they're looking at the actual episode image art. Very few people do,
Yep.
but in case they do, right? Trying to get the most out of it. Only 3 matter. Skip the junk. AI book. 3 that work. 9 regret. Just these 3. I'm gonna give it something different. I'm just gonna say just must reads.
Nice. Okay.
Got it. Must reads. Okay. Now we're getting into thumbnail creation. And before, a lot of people will jump right into the image generator. The image generator's tool is amazing, but what if you don't know exactly what you want? Well, have it generate some concepts, some general visual ideas in writing first
Visual
so you can get an
concepts. Okay,
overview,
I
because
like this.
the image generator tool right now, unfortunately, is really slow. So like I like to take a moment and actually have it come up with some ideas first and evaluate them. Let's see, overload shot. Dan holding a stack of 12 AI books. I kind of like that. I like me holding a big stack of books.
Yeah.
A trash can labeled AI books with 9 books flying into it. Nah. Dan pointing like a judge and thumbs up, thumbs down with 12 books behind him. I kind of like the first one.
I like
So,
1. Yeah.
yeah. Now, I happen to have a blog post where I have an example image I can pull from. One quick tip for generating, if you're using yourself like I do in my thumbnails, you need to give it a reference image every time. In fact, sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, how do you want me to pose in this
Mm.
thumbnail?" I will actually take out my phone and do me striking that pose or whatever YouTube thumbnail pose I need to do, and I will give it to it right there. Because I've done something similar to this, I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up. Thought leadership books, and I think I have an image that looks like this already because I read every book on thought leadership when I was fascinated with that topic. Here we go.
Oh, there you
You
go.
can see this one is similar enough that I'm just going to give it that one as an example. And even though it has the instructions, I find that sometimes AI needs a little extra nudge. It's funny, it knows this, but I'm going to say use concept 1. Make sure the image is horizontal. I don't know why I always have to extra spell that out. Otherwise, it could be square, it could be vertical. I need
Oh,
it to be
interesting.
horizontal. It's an image. Um, use the reference photo of me. All right. Hold on. I think my website does something funny and it converts everything to WebP. So I'm just going to take, you could do this down and dirty. I'm taking a screenshot of the image. Like it doesn't have to be high resolution.
Mm.
Usually I'm just kind of running and gutting. Sometimes I will even use, remember the old school photo booth app in your Mac using your webcam?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I do it
totally.
all the time because it has the little countdown so you can go and do the thing real quick, take the
Oh, good
photo.
call.
It's
Yeah,
horrible quality, doesn't matter. As long as it's got like kind of the lighting and the reference of you doing the thing, it kind of works.
it'll
And you
work.
can
Yeah.
see it will look more like you if you feed it a photo of yourself, even if it has a good description of you, which it does of me in the back end. I'll show you how it works later. So I'm going to
So,
go ahead and let that run. Now, this will take a moment. That's
of
one of the
course,
bad
yeah.
sides about
So
this is
you
this
still are
process takes a
using
while.
ChatGPT for the image, though. You're not
Oh
using
yeah.
another one of the other tools.
No. A lot of people
Ah,
will use a tool like Flux LoRa's
yeah.
in order to train it on what they look like. I found the process of doing that was so cumbersome that it wasn't worth it. Like
Oh,
using this
got it.
process of just saying, "Hey, here's a reference photo of me and you're posed the way you want it already." Is actually almost what you would get out of a Flux LoRa anyway, because that if you've ever looked at that process, it's way too complicated. Plus, if it's not quite there, if it's just so close, but it's not there, something else you can do to get it just a step closer is using what we call a face swap tool. Face
Yes,
swap
yes.
tool. They're free. They're like just freaking floating out here. I use this one by Remaker. I haven't really. So you can upload the ChatGPT image, upload your original image, which is the one you fed it, right?
Yep.
Um, and then
Oh,
it will
that's
get it
so
just closer.
smart,
Kind of
dude.
like this example here of Superman and someone replaced their face with it. But because this face is kind of similar enough to Superman, it's not a big swap, right?
Yeah, that's really
Um,
not that big of a swap
so
at
this
all.
is something I might do after the fact. Now,
Ah,
this image. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, it's not a great one of me. I will have to use a face swap tool to get this one closer. I'll show you another little trick I do. But while this is rendering, let me show you how this works. So let me show you one I did that of an episode I just published this morning actually of about a whiz kid who's like 19 and is just amazing at AI. I just did a whole episode of him, and I'll show you an example of what that image looked like. I'd see I had an image and I gave it a reference photo of myself taking some notes and kind of giving like an over the shoulder reaction because that's what it called for. And it created this one. Also, not quite like me, but if you saw this on my YouTube channel or in my LinkedIn feed, people would be like, oh, that's Dan Sanchez. It's close
yeah,
enough. So
yeah, it's
I
close
roll with it.
enough.
Now you can see,
Honestly, anyone who's not like your friend and knows you, they're
yeah.
probably not going to notice, right?
Yeah. Now, a lot of YouTube channels, when I help other people start their podcasts and YouTube channels, I just don't use this because some people just can't get over the fact that it's not exactly like them. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's just use a good illustration then.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the text is on par. This one, I really liked it. So I just brought it into Photoshop and redid the text. Generally, I just find that it's close enough. So let's see what we got over here. Um, this person, he looks like he's really sad, doesn't really like this one, but that's okay. Um, let's sometimes I'll have to redo the image and run through a few attempts of it. Let me show you how this works because now I have the title, I got the image, and after a face swap, it'll usually be much better. So it says you are the expert. This is essentially the custom GPT era. If you haven't been back here, let me show you how to get here real quick. Custom
Yes.
GPTs are like one of the most powerful parts of AI, Chat GPT in particular. And if you haven't gone there yet, but you're a Plus member, trust me, go back here. It's not too scary. It's over on the left hand side. GPTs. Go to create. If you're on the create tab, just flip over to configure, and all you're doing is giving it a name, giving it a description. This just lists text that sits under the name, and all the magic generally falls under this instruction area. Okay, so I'm going to go back to mine. I'm going to open up the instructions, and all it is one really long prompt. But I wish could be formatted in here because it would be even less intimidating. But it's essentially like, you're a YouTube video strategist who knows how to make videos that go viral for the podcast AI Driven Marketer, right? Here's the show premise for the podcast. When you get a new when you are given a new idea for an episode, start the step-by-step process below, right? And I've tested this multiple times. I've built lots of custom GPTs. This is what I call the when, do, ask framework for building a custom GPT. Okay. I always format it the same way too. Step 1, space, hyphen, space. And then it's essentially like this one, it always starts off with the when first here. When you are given an idea for a new episode, start the step-by-step process below. Do this when, and then do this thing, and then ask me about this. Okay. And it's that process over and over again. When, and then the do, right. And then, where is it? Oh, there's no ask in this one. The title should employ. I should always have it. Ask
Yeah, right there.
me
Oh, there you go.
how. Ask me how they are. I always try to
Yeah,
end
you
it
have
with
it
the
on
ask.
step
Yeah.
3. Ask me which one is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then ask me which one
Yeah.
is the best before moving to the next step. The more I've done this,
Yeah.
the more I try to be as consistent as possible. So it's always then ask me which one is the best before moving to the next step, to make it super clear what it's supposed to do with every single step. So when I do this, then ask me this. That way you can actually co-create it, and it's based on your process. You could do this with anything that you have a
Yep.
process for, and everybody has a process for creating a case study, creating a landing page. What is your process for it? You could literally do the same thing. When I give you the general idea, start this step-by-step process. Find the angles, come up with the titles. After the titles, come up with the YouTube thumbnail, right? Or come up with the caption, and then come up with the visual angle, then create the image. And then I have a little style guide here for what the image should include. Because if you look at my
There you go.
YouTube channel, there's a consistency to the way the thumbnails look now that I've been using this for long enough. You can kind of
Right.
see
Yeah.
like the
Yep.
gradients. You can see they all look pretty close to me. Some more than others, but they're all close enough, right? Now that I've been
Yep.
doing this for a while, you could see the consistency in the thumbnail design and the neon looking stuff. And that's very AI kind of thing, design quality, but there's a consistency to the design. You can bake that in to your custom GPT. Shoot, you can ask ChatGPT what your design quality should be, and it can help you draft it. And then you just paste it in here. So
Yeah, that's something I've been doing a lot recently is asking ChatGPT, like, analyze this, describe it to me, and then now I take that description that it just gave me, and then I feed it back into ChatGPT. And the other thing too about these, when I build these for some of my clients or some of my friends, like it's not going to get it perfectly the very first time. You can always go back and then hit edit
yep.
and then refine it a little bit, and it'll take 2 or 3 times before you really start to hone it in. But you can always do that. So I always encourage people, just launch something, just go, start playing with it, and then as you realize how it needs to be tweaked, you can go back and tweak it.
Yep. What's funny is sometimes when you hover over your thing here, it'll give you a little edit arrow. And so you
Yeah.
can actually, and this is what I usually do, instead of asking it to change it again or try again, I'll come over here to the edit arrow and just rechange the prompt and it'll
Yeah.
regenerate the image. In this case, for some reason, it doesn't want me to do that.
Yeah.
And that's
Interesting.
fine. I'll essentially just take my thumbnail and just even come up into another version of this custom GPT, be like, hey, skip to the custom GPT part. We're going to do this. And here's the reference photo again, and then just try again. Because obviously this one wasn't it, but that's okay. In this one, I got what I wanted, and it ended up becoming the thumbnail that I used in the
Yeah,
most
there you
recent
go.
episode. And it worked. And the click-through rate on this one's high, partly because of just the headline of, an 18-year-old master? How is that possible? But
Yeah.
it just came out.
It got me. I listened to it this morning already.
There you go. So that's kind of the fun part about this. Extra pro tip, there are sections in here where I reference. You can't fit everything into the instructions sometimes. Sometimes you need to have another doc with a template or an example or even a list of ideas. I do that all the time for generating. Right here, he says, when I select an angle, write 10 titles using the title idea PDF in your knowledge area as examples to guide you. Because I found that its ability to write titles, at least back when I made this GPT, wasn't that great. It might have gotten better now. I might not even need this anymore. But if you have a specific rhythm or a template or something, you're like, I always wanted to have these sections here, make a template out of it. And just like you would give it to an intern to be like, hey, do it here, you upload that as a PDF to this knowledge area and then just reference it in the instructions. And that makes it so much tighter. It's just making it clear, like, no, this is what success looks like, ChatGPT. Reference this. Here's a template. Here's a guide. Um, and I find that that is another like superpower of using these custom GPTs. But look at this, like anybody can do this. There's no code involved here. HTML is much more complicated than what we did here. All we've
Yeah,
done is has
exactly.
a very clear step-by-step instructions that ChatGPT can follow in order to replicate the process you were already using. The cool part is this used to take me 45 minutes to come up with all this stuff, even longer to come up with the image. Now it takes me less than 10 minutes. And that
And for
over time makes it smoother and it makes it way more fun because I could just like word vomit through the dictation tool. A
yeah,
general idea, it's like rough. And it'll be like, okay, let's clean this up.
I
Here's your
got you.
angles, here's your
Yeah.
titles, here's a YouTube. And now you're like, oh, this is coming to life. And some of my clients that I make these things for, I will then have it actually outline their whole podcast episode so they know exactly, or at least have a starting point for what the intro can be and what the transition will be and how they break into the main content and how they can outro and all that, all the different blocks and steps of a podcast. They can go into it. I usually just wing it myself, so I don't like outline my episodes that much, but some people really like it. The cool
Yeah.
part is I can upload the template of what makes a successful podcast in a knowledge area. So it always knows to use the rhythm and why and when, because it's just following the steps. That's the power of custom GPTs. And that's how I'm using it to do pre-production for my podcast.
Dude, I love this. And for those listening, Dan is gracious enough to give you the prompt that he used here, and then obviously plug it in and play around with yourself. You're obviously not going to be also creating a AI-driven marketer podcast, but go out and create your own podcast. Or Dan, what else can they use this for? Can you do this for like a webinar or like a virtual summit? Well, how else can we use something like this?
This is useful for more, pretty much any long form content you're making, you can run through a process like this, whether it's a long form blog post, webinar, virtual presentation, anything where
Yeah.
you need to like actually structure a line of thinking in order to present something in a compelling way. AI can help you structure it. You probably already have a process for it. So what's the step-by-step process you want to go through with AI? Because how often do we need to also come up with the angle, the titles, the thumbnail, right? Every time for most marketing assets, the same process over and over again. I use it for a podcast because that's my weapon of choice. But
Yep.
everybody's got their own thing. If you want the exact or the instructions that I use specifically for guest interviews, I've actually published it live for people to use. It's at a website called myshowrunner.com. I actually co-published it with another AI marketer named Susan Diaz. She kind of had the idea for it, and I made it. But
Nice.
I'll give you even a link back to the thank you page if they want to go straight there. You can pass the gate and just go right to the instructions. You can just copy and paste it and modify it a little bit to build your own, or there's a link there to where you can just go straight to one that's kind of pre-built for you. You'll have to tell it every time a little bit about your podcast before it gets into
Mhm.
building the show for you. So it's better just to build your own custom GPT with it. But if you follow the instructions, it's very clear. I even made a little video instructing you there at myshowrunner.com. And again, I'll give you the link so you can pass the gate.
Appreciate that. Love that. All right, let's go into the quick fire round and then we'll wrap this up. So, what's your current AI tech stack look like?
ChatGPT is my main like home base, my co-pilot where I'm doing a lot of work. But other than that, HighLevel is my main CRM of choice because they have AI features baked into so many parts of it for conversational AI, whether people call in, chat in on text chat or like text in. AI can handle those conversations and unlock a bunch of tools that are already built into CRM, like booking my meetings or sending text messages with PDFs and more information into it, or a bunch of different things it could do now. It's pretty good. Or workflow AI. If you know a lead comes in and I want to send them personalized emails based on what I know about them, HighLevel does that well. Um, NAN is my automation tool. If it's
Mm.
not contact based, but it needs to be automated, like the post production for my podcast, I'm running that through NAN. It's an advanced tool. Don't recommend it unless you've built at least a dozen custom GPTs. If you've built a dozen custom GPTs and you feel like you got a little GPT army going on, you're ready for NAN. That's kind of like how I tell people how
Yeah,
to prepare
yeah,
for
it's a
that.
good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lastly, one of my favorite tools is Suno, which is
Mm.
a music tool. And I'm like me and my kids have a fun time like making all kinds of music, and I find I'm listening to more and more AI music personally. But even I find it's just a useful tool. Instead of going to stock music sites for videos, I'm just making my own little riffs
And
or
playing it in the
jams with Suno.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. Yeah, that's what I use for the music for this podcast.
Bam. Got it.
Sweet. Well, tell me where do you go to learn about AI? What people do you follow? Courses, communities that you're in? Where do you mainly go?
Um, the best learnings always happen just through experimentation, of course.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I'm that kind of guy that's always looking for like, huh, here's the new tech. How can I use this? There are certainly certain I'm not a what I call a first wave AI mark or AI influencer or whatever. There's always those people that have to be the first one in and kind of give the lay of the land. I'm usually second in.
Mm,
I watch those people like a Matt Wolf is one of my favorite YouTubers, right?
mm,
Or the Artificial Intelligence Show from the AI Marketing Institute's a really great podcast for like high level AI business news
yep.
is where I'm getting some information. Of course, Social Media Examiner has AI Explored. They have pretty good people they're interviewing there, so I'm listening to that regularly. And that gets some ideas there, but honestly, the best ideas come from I have this thing that I want to do, how
Let me
could
go
I
figure it
have
out.
AI help me do it better
Yeah.
or faster? It's always that in that step is usually works better. Can I do it faster with AI? Can I do it better with AI? And then even after I do it, I might refine it again. Like this podcast thing I've been working on, I've been refining this for a year and a half now. It's
There you go.
gotten better and better.
Nice.
um, but then often like ChatGPT just dropped Agent. It's a new tool. And now I don't have access to it yet, but I've already over the weekend started thinking like, okay, what does this now make possible? And now I'm
Yep.
thinking, I'm like, okay, well, it's got deep research built into it. What is an extra step from everything I was doing with deep research that I can now take at least one more step towards it? So how can I think through my deep research prompts or things that I was doing and add like, okay, with the deep research now do X? And that's a way I can use agents. There's one way I've figured out to use agents. I haven't really figured out more ways than that, but I'm thinking about it and I'm gonna test it and I'll experiment it and I
I can't
document
wait till I
everything that
get
I
my
do
hands
learn
on
on
it
my
too.
podcast.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait. Awesome. I well, last question here. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now with AI?
I find automation's pretty hard. There's way more
Mm,
things I would love to automate, but I can't because the tech is just not consistent enough yet. NAN is frustrating as all get out. As much as it's the best automation tool that I've seen out there, I would be doing way more, like I would be automating way more of my processes if they were consistent. If you could automate it. Um, so that's the most frustrating. That's why I like to use, if I can use HighLevel, I will use that every time because it's way more
mm.
consistent, simple. But it's also like there's a bunch of different types of content I can't feed through there. I can't like automatically syndicate social media posts from HighLevel. I have to use NAN for that, and NAN is kind of frustrating to use. So I think that'll get easier over time. But right now,
Yeah.
it's frustrating still.
Awesome. Well, Danchez, appreciate you being my first guest here. I've learned so much over the years from you, all the way back when you were on at Sweetfish and with James at the team over there. So appreciate you jumping on. Where can people find out about you, listen to your podcast, or I should say, watch your podcast,
Yeah.
and
I'd go
connect with
to
you?
AI-drivenmarketer.com will take you to my podcast, and it's on all the different platforms. Otherwise, LinkedIn is kind of my short form channel of choice. LinkedIn.com/IN/digital marketing Dan. And I'm gonna regret the longer time goes on, the more I regret that handle, but it is what it is.
Is what it is. You're committed now. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.